Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Empire, where we dominate the crypto market. My name is Connor. In this video, I'll be revisiting TREZOR and the TAI token, because now that we're back in a risk-on environment in the crypto market, things are really starting to pick up. We are at the cusp of a major altcoin season, so it's really important to get in your positions now if you aren't already. And anyways, TAI, again, it's the only AI coin backed by the Solana Foundation, and right now the chart's looking good. There's some new updates with the project as well. As always, shout out to the TREZOR team for sponsoring these videos, and let's get into this one. So at the current moment in time, the TREZOR token is trading for 9.4 cents with a market cap of $55.6 million. The all-time high for this again is 49 cents, about 50 cents. So it's trading just around 5x away from its all-time high. Now look, there's the possibility of Ethereum going to new all-time highs. There's a lot of talks of $6,000 to $8,000 for ETH, Solana $500 plus. And if these things happen, a lot of these smaller cap coins, they're really going to pump quite hard. But anyways, there's a lot of updates around TREZOR. They've been doing a lot. So let's go touch on some of them right now. So again, this is listed on a lot of exchanges. If you look, it's very liquid. A lot of the main exchanges, Gate, Bybit, KuCoin, MEXC. It's also just available on the Solana blockchain itself. You can buy it right on Radium. So it is quite liquid. And again, this is the only AI project backed by the Solana Foundation. They got listed on KuCoin over here back in April, and they will continue to add more exchanges into the future. Also, just to recap, TREZOR is accepted in the NVIDIA Inception program. And with that, it's the only AI coin on Solana in the NVIDIA Inception program. Right, we went over this in previous videos. Here's one of their team members at the NVIDIA GTC conference in San Jose, California, just a few months ago in March of this year. All right, so boots on the ground, and they're showing face and making appearances. Also, TREZOR was at the Google GDC Summit in 2025, as we can see. Again, just a few months ago at the end of March. And also, it's really important to note that TREZOR is, again, the only AI project on Solana in the Google Inception program. All right, so they're in the NVIDIA Inception program, only a coin on Solana, also in the Google Inception program as the only AI coin on Solana. They're quite proud of this branding, and it is a pretty impressive feat, right? If everyone could get accepted into these programs, I'm sure they would be. TREZOR is actually going ahead and doing that. Also, again, just to recap, TREZOR, they met the Amazon Web Services AWS team actually in person. Again, just a few months ago, not even, just last month in April, they met the AWS team in person. We can read TREZOR is built on the backbone of AWS, running its entire product suite from the AI agent market and Sona to on-chain search on one of the most powerful and trusted cloud infrastructures in the world. Now, this is debatable, right? Because some people will say, oh, it's centralized. They're on AWS. What if AWS goes down? Now, that's certainly one argument, but the fact that it is so centralized is also a pro. You can look at both sides of the coin. For example, if you look at a project like XRP right now, not really related to TREZOR, but the centralization aspect is. XRP is the only project that I know of to meet with President Donald Trump. You can send $1 billion in XRP and it will show up within a few seconds with a very, very small transaction fee. And it's a centralized network, so it's controlled. That's what the government likes. So anyways, here we are in 2025, the ethos of crypto and decentralization. It's almost like a thing of the past now, which is quite sad, but at the same time, it makes sense given the structure of the world. So the fact that it is on Amazon AWS can be looked at as indeed a positive instead of a negative, of course, depending on who you are as an individual. But anyways, TREZOR met the AWS Web Services team in person. The only AI project I'm aware of on Solana to do that. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on now. So they have been making some big moves in regards to monetization. This is from the beginning of May, just a few weeks ago. We can read that TREZOR entered a new phase of monetization. They will begin generating revenue through ads and sponsorships, and 100% of the revenue generated is going to TAI buybacks. So all the money they're going to make, they're going to go buy the TAI token on the open market. And I do believe they plan on burning it as well. We'll get into that in a second. So here's the flywheel. Revenue in. So they buy the tokens out of circulation. That's value back to the community and the token holders because it becomes more scarce. giving the community token holders more value because, again, it becomes more scarce. So anyways, that did go ahead and happen. Going ahead and moving on now. Their buyback and burn program is well underway. There's 3 phases of this. This update is from May 9th, so just last week. TREZOR burned 250 grand worth of tokens as a part of the ongoing commitment to remove supply as the ecosystem revenue does scale up. So with the new monetization streams live, which we just went over, enterprise integrations are growing and buyback rounds are in motion. So the burn reflects more than tokenomics. It's backed by real transactions across products like Sona, the AI market, as well as their search. Again, we went over all of these different products about TAI in previous videos. I recommend if you haven't watched those previous videos yet, you go ahead and do that. But they're buying back and they're burning $250,000 here. And in this next update, we can see some progress in regards to round 1. This is just from May the 12th, just a few days ago. So TAI buyback progress update. So they completed round 1 and round 2 is 45% in progress so far. So TREZOR is executing one of the most aggressive buyback programs in this space by reducing supply, reinforcing value, and scaling with conviction. Every round completed is another step toward long-term strength for the TAI ecosystem. Right, so they're burning a lot of tokens, and more recently, they announced or they launched the round 2 buyback. So it's 15 million TAI in total, and this is going to be completed, basically now at current date because this was last month in April. So the round continues to amplify trust, strengthen value for the holders, and accelerate momentum across Solana's AI frontier. So 15 million tokens, given that the maximum supply is 1 billion, that means 15 million tokens is 1.5% of the supply. So they're burning huge chunks, actually. Like 1.5% of supplies, it's a big chunk. And, they're doing multiple rounds of this. So they're burning several percent of the supply, as we can see. Round 3 was live, and it's the largest one. They removed 30 million TAI, or they're removing 30 million coins from circulation. So again, that's 30 million is 3% of the supply. Phase 2 was 15 or 1.5% of the supply. So, they're burning a pretty substantial amount of the token supply. You might think, 4.5%, it's not much. Like, we're talking millions of dollars. So it does actually add up. So TAI making the token more scarce for their community, for their token holders, which does give more value back to the holders. And again, they're building a huge AI suite on Solana. A lot of positive things going for this project. Let's go ahead and look at the chart right now and get into how things are shaping up here and how things are playing out and levels you should be watching and looking for if you are looking to buy the coin. Of course, this video is not financial advice. You need to make your own decision. But let's just go over this objective technical analysis right now. So from the bottom, we did see a major pump where the token went 546% in a period of 9 days. That did mark a local top, as price has not made a higher high past this level. And this happened on the 26th of April. To that local top to the current market price, it's down 37%, and it did go as low as 61%. And this happened in 11 days. So it went up over 500% in 9 days. And then in the next 11 days, it went down 60%. So it's very, very volatile. It's a small cap AI coin. It's important to understand that if you are looking to either trade or invest into this asset. Now, being that we're in a risk-on buy program in the crypto market, in my opinion, with risk-on conditions, we want to be bullish. We want to look to acquire coins at discounts when they dip, and then ideally try and catch the local bottom to go ahead and ride the trend higher, because in crypto the pumps happen quite fast. So if you can get ideal entries, you'll be laughing. So here's what I'm seeing right now on TAI. There's 2 demand zones, and demand zone number 1 is just here. Okay, this formed on that 61% pullback that happened. Basically, there's just an order block right over here that did form. Drop, base, rally, big explosive move. And if we isolate that order block, that's from 7.3 cents down to 6.45 cents. The next level of interest is another rally base rally demand zone. And this is from 5.4 cents, 5.5 cents down to 4.7 cents. Now, we don't just want to take these demand zones blindly. We always look for Fibonacci confluence. So if we take our fib from the high over here at 15 cents to the low it made at 2.3 cents, we got our fib on the chart. And our fib is pretty interesting. We have our golden pocket in this newly fresh formed demand zone here. And this is right at 7.1 cents. And then you have the 78.6% Fibonacci retracement down here at 5 cents. If you're looking to buy TAI, these are the two most logical levels to look for closest to the current market price. All right, so you can implement some type of ladder strategy if you like, where say, you have this certain amount of money you want to invest into this thing. If your bags aren't packed, you want to buy. So out of that certain amount of money you have, let's say you want to buy 50% here in this zone and then the other 50% here in this zone. I think that's a pretty logical plan. Of course, you could just buy at the current market price, but if price does end up coming down to these zones, you're going to suffer some drawdown, right? This first one is 20% lower to 30% lower, and the second one is 40% lower to 50% lower. Like, those are huge percentages. That's going to have the capital you put in if you want to buy it at current market price. Of course, there's always the chance that it just flies and it pumps from here, and it never comes down to these demand zone entries. That's the game. That's trading. That's investing. Sometimes your triggers aren't met and you end up missing the trade or the buy opportunity because it doesn't come down to the level that you want to be a buyer at. Welcome to the market. It's not perfect. All right. Sometimes things don't go your way, but it still makes more sense to wait for the price that makes sense to buy rather than just market ordering and then potentially seeing 50% drawdown. That's the way I'm looking at it. Of course, some people might look at it a different way, but I think looking at it this way is, there's no correct way to do things per se in trading because everyone's going to have a different way of doing things, but this just makes a lot of sense to me in my opinion. Anyways, those are your buy zones closest to the current market price. In terms of price predictions and things like that, again, we're around 5x away from the all-time high. As we can see here, we are 427% away from the all-time high. So actually over 5x. So the idea is that we're going to have another big AI boom similar to what happened at the start of 2024. So it's very possible it does come back up to these levels. For anyone wondering, where it may go if it goes into price discovery, I always like to use Fibonacci extensions. And if we use some Fibonacci extensions, the main one here is the negative 618, and this is at 79 cents. So from the current market price, this is, a 760% gain. And then the 1618 is at $1.26. The current price below 10 cents. This is a major move. We're talking 1,300% here. I wouldn't recommend holding every token you have up to these prices, but there's the chance that we see new all-time highs for Solana and Ethereum, and of course we'll see money trickle down into the smaller coins like these. So, look, just food for thought here. There's no guarantee that any of these targets will be hit, obviously, but using Fib extensions is a very reliable way of finding price levels, target price levels in price discovery to plan for later on in the cycle when we do experience the parabolic blow off top at the end of it all. Anyways, guys, here's TAI. Hope you enjoyed this video. We went over some updates about the coin as well as the chart. So in this video, we talked about TARS.ai and the TAI token. We went over all of the new updates from how they're accepted in the NVIDIA and Google Inception programs, how they're backed by Solana, the only AI coin to be backed by Solana, and they are burning, they're buyback and burning a lot of their supply. So that's all great to see. And yeah, the chart right now, it's bullish. We are in risk-on conditions in crypto, and there are some juicy demand zones lower to look for if you're interested in being a buyer. Of course, not financial advice. Do your own research, come to your own decisions. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you let me know by smashing the like button down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead right now and smash the subscribe button down below and turn on all the notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And my name is Connor from Crypto Empire, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed.